This man had just been discharged from prison. He was chased by a group of people. He frantically ran along the street. But just after a while, he stopped because he crashed into a barrier. Those people caught up with him. Suddenly, someone stopped them. At this place, what I say is the law. It turned out that the man being chased was Kawanishi, who used to be a leader of Suzuran Middle School. In the battle against Housen Academy, he accidentally killed Housen's leader. And the man who had helped him was his former junior. Now Kawanishi was released from prison. Housen gang would surely come to avenge for their leader. Right when they were about to fight, Genji suddenly turned up. The Housen people said some provocation. Genji was already irritable, so he immediately fought with them. The Housen gang wasn't angry, but they said, "Are you in Suzuran too?" Genji admitted it right away. "Thanks to you, the non-aggression pact was broken. Housen and Suzuran is going to have a fight. Do you know what did you do?" Genji was a newbie, so he didn't know Kawanishi at all. As a result, he didn't know anything about the agreement. After that, he went to find Aizawa at the bar. And he told Genji all the things had happened. It turned out that during the skirmish, Kawanishi violated the gang law and used a weapon to fatally wound Housen's former leader. So as to avoid another death, the two gangs shook hands and signed an agreement. Both of them abided that agreement during that 2 years. However, Genji beat Housen's people first. As a result, the agreement was lapsed. Until now that Genji understood how serious the matter was. Genji had caused this, and for Suzuran's honor, he had to fight. The most important thing at this moment was increase the gang's power. Genji and his friends went to the school to recruit more people. But there were only some men. What's worse, one of Genji's juniors couldn't come. It turned out that Housen gang had attacked this guy in order to weaken Suzuran gang. Genji was very angry when he heard about it. However, he couldn't do anything but go to the bar and have a drink. As the owner of Doberman Bar, Genji's father Hideo came to him. He wanted to taught his son a lesson. So annoyed was him that Genji punched his father, but Hideo dodged it. "There is only anger in your fist, it isn't okay. This is the first time you've been in a high position. You shouldn't only think about yourself." After his father had left, Genji soullessly walked on the street. Kawanishi came to an infamous gang in that area. He said to the leader that he would help them deal with the leader of his rival Doberman. And then they had to give him a position. However, the leader turned down and kicked him out. When Kawanishi was about to leave, a junior suddenly gave him a gun. Hideo was the boss of Doberman Bar when he had just entered the house. Kawanishi ran after him and shot him twice. The guilt in his heart made Kawanishi really nervous. At this time, Kawanishi received a phone call from the infamous gang. This guy informed him that Hideo was still alive and forced him to go murder him again. As for Genji, after learning that his father had been attacked, he rushed to the hospital. "Wake up! Why do you keep sleeping? I still couldn't knock you out." Genji cried, and he finally understood that no matter how strong was his father, he would lie down one day. It wasn't enough to just rely on himself to fight with Housen gang. Genji then returned to school and used the speaker to express his feeling to other people. He hoped that they could give him a hand. But the people gathered were still fewer 50 people. They weren't as many as a half of Housen. If they fought, it wasn't different from find a way to die. He then decided to disperse the people and went to Housen gang alone. He had broken the pact himself, so he had to be responsible for it. Genji confronted 100 men of Housen gang, which made the leader speechless. "Are you begging to die?" Genji laughed and said, "Stop telling joke please. I'm enough to fight with you guys." Genji fearlessly rushed towards the people. Even though he was surrounded by lots of enemies, he didn't give up. But it wasn't okay if this continued. At this time, Genji's juniors came with another gang. It turned out that they had accepted him. They came to help him. They also knew that only Suzuran gang wasn't enough to fight with the Housen. So they asked for help. They came to a big gang in the area Sarazawa to borrow some men. Tomeo Sarazawa's leader agreed with that, and then they came to the fight. "What are you doing to my leader?" Which meant Tomeo also had recognized Genji. Genji really appreciated it, and then he turned around to confront Housen. He knew that he was no longer alone. At this time, the force was evened out. Genji said a few words to defy Housen. After that, Housen's leader said, "We have a fight on the roof of this building." The two gangs rushed towards each other. Genji and Tomeo led the gang to rush into the building. In order to help Genji maintain his strength, the people gathered around to protect him. They opened a way so that Genji could go to the rooftop. In the end, he managed to reach the rooftop. At this place, Housen's leader was waiting for him. Both of them were tired. Genji looked for a chance and knocked that guy down. The Housen's leader had to try very hard to stand up again. None of them agreed to give up. They were both exhausted and could only mentally fight. They stood opposite each other. and used all their remaining strength to punch the other. Genji was the last one to be able to stand. While the Housen's leader was exhausted and collapsed, Genji finally won. He didn't disappoint people's expectation. Suzuran gang came back in triumph. As for Kawanishi, when he went to the hospital, he took out a gun and pointed at Hideo. Fortunately, a man came and prevented him. Do you know how precious a life is? We still can find the meaning of life even if we lived in pain or poverty. Kawanishi realized his fault and put down the gun. After that, he was controlled and threatened by Hideo's juniors. When they were about to kill him, Hideo suddenly regained consciousness. He found that Kawanishi had repented, so he forgave him. After leaving the hospital, Kawanishi returned to his hometown. He decided to correct his mistake and start over. At the end of the movie, Genji again challenged Rindaman, the final obstacle on his path to ruling Suzuran. All the students gathered to watch the battle and officially recognized Genji. At this time, Genji used all his strength to fight with Rindaman. It's the end of the movie today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for us, in order not to miss the next interesting videos. Goodbye and see you later.